that huge part of the transformation process, of the data transformation, right? So it goes from just whatever, and then if you employ the high res mode, or like even sometimes auto does it, it's more expensive and it's more compute intensive, but you are getting actual OCR of the images, all sorts of table-based work, any type of graph, and stuff actually gets converted and represented in the chunk of text, or the chunk of the actual thing that goes into the index eventually. So unstructured is amazing at just taking care of it. But if you're working with something very predictable and you have an agent that only accepts, let's see here, that's not even all the document loaders. Actually, we can see them. Watch the document loader. If you're watching this for the first time and you're not, or if you're watching and you're just not a Flowise person, Flowise is, again, I've used Langflow and other platforms, but Flowise really is special in many ways. You really are not limited. So what I did earlier today, so if you're wondering what can our agent do, I went and dumped, it was like 4,000 files of Confluence versus what we had as basically doing this like as a company would. How much do you dump? What goes to ETL and what goes to straight? So it wasn't the full like everything, but fully thing then it has to be authorized and approved. And in bigger companies, of course, it's also a big topic of how do you just onboard a new entity, or this process. But I'm just saying the options are immense. Load your Confluence, load up an EPUB book file, do a Firecrawl. So Firecrawl and EXA, again, if you're not familiar with these, are like the two top leading contenders for a lot of this LLM assisted scraping services. So it's great. It's like Stealth GPT to text, but Firecrawl and EXA is like to Google to search. So we can load folders of files, we can load Notion stuff, so PDFs straight, entire S3s, imagine, right? So and you're watching this as you're a developer firm, or you just work, but the fact that this can now, of course it's not without challenges completely, but we can now give access to some pretty, serious places, I guess. You could even do vector store to document load, do a standard generic file uploader. So what that will allow us to do is allow the user to be flexible, and they can just upload files, which in this case says are text, .json, .csv, .docx, .pdf, and other file types. So it's just allows us to have that like comprehensive experience. Oh, we don't need that. Yep. Okay. So we saw that. And then we need a text splitter. And for that, really the two major ones usually are either the markdown text splitter or the recursive text character. I use the recursive a lot. Let's connect the splitter. Zooming in, and let's actually save up. So connect to text splitter. Text splitter. Our Pinecone node notice is set to Pinecone retriever, and then that powers the retriever tool. So the tool in this case just gives us access to something that within LangChains, I don't want to say actually, I'm not entirely sure, but I think we do need this tool class to be able to do certain things. I'll name it and then for the description you set something like retriever tools allows you to query and get data from the main RAG data bank of the user. Use this retriever tool for all operations where user requests information or asks questions that do not require real-time web searching. Retriever description is as important as are the descriptions in custom tools. The descriptions everywhere, right? If the more literal and specific and to the point and well-defined we are there, then the agent just has to quickly process that information or the directive there and go to town. As we'll see, how I use a quick English-based or just language-based style prompt writing to set a bunch of to use an API through the agent and have it specifically set those things to pulled from my request directly. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So what else? We have then an embeddings that we need. So we'll go on again, plus. And embeddings are, whatever you're using is great, honestly. It's so interesting because there's so many different types of embedders, but do they all do the same? I know there's obviously every type of, but I guess as the technology goes, but then maybe same could be said of LLMs. Do we as humans all just do the same thing? Wow. Okay. All right. So the embeddings we're going to power here. And then the file loader document is going to come from here. And so in our Flowise case, we have this recently newish option of record management. So that's pretty important as well. Whatever system you're using or straight code, just basically taking care of tracking like upsertion records, the process of upsertion going in. There's a lot, of course, to it. And that's why the RAG is still challenging for many, but at least and now I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So let's do the record manager so in our case, we can have it natively basically as part of the database that hosts and the volumes that host the Flowise instance. But of course, then you can also do Postgres or other types. So I'm going to connect that here. Okay, so that connects our memory of the agent. And for a quick review, it is powered by Pinecone. It is powered by Pinecone 3072 index. So for most, I've observed that, for certain purposes, 1536 standard and all that stuff is great. And it's way more cost effective, yes. But when building a personal agentic assistant or doing a lot of these advanced things and maybe not being at the scale of some of the largest potential things, it's totally wise to operate within the higher dimensional space because we really want maximum throughput and quality here. So I'll say here that, and then we can define it. I will set that later. File upload, yes. Can just set this to the default. I try 6, 4, depends. Sometimes it could even be 8, but 6 for the top K. And then whatever namespace in your Pinecone setup or however you have that, then you specify that here. And then we have a recursive character text splitter. So we can keep things, round them up, and how unstructured even does it. You could do 10, 24, 5, or just any number really. But sometimes I'll say just 10, 24, 256, pretty good base standard. We have a record manager that's simply just going to keep track of whatever goes in and out through this canvas. And so it tracks and allows you to do a lot of additional observability or have a slightly different system outside of Langsmith or Langwatch. And then OpenAI embeddings do need to be set to 3 large because 3 large powers our 3072s, and that's the memory. So that'll allow us to ask it now different things that are in the memory bank, and